So, over 17 years of practice with thousands of patients, there's no test that I haven't done and tried with myself, my family, and probably at least a couple hundred patients. Let me just tell you in general the different kinds of testing. First of all, there's the blood draw you do in the laboratory that is an immediate food hypersensitivity test. That's called an IgE, and that would be a vial of blood drawn from you or your child or your loved one, and then they come back with your IgE allergens. We don't do that in practice because IgE is the immediate food hypersensitivity test. So if you eat strawberries and you get a rash, you don't eat strawberries. That's not a good investment of time, effort, or money in my practice. There's also the skin sensitivity testing, which you test, they'll do scratch patches on the skin and test for different grasses and seeds and some other things. I find those allergies are secondary. In other words, those allergies or hypersensitivity to those substances are usually a cause of hidden food allergens, the IgG or the hidden food allergy testing that we do. But there is other kind of testing that we've evaluated in practice, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to disparage anybody. I know that the people that develop these tests and some of the doctors that may choose to use them believe in them for their own reasons. So let's talk about one kind of testing, which is really a cell degranulation test. So basically all that means is they expose your cells to a food and see if the cells break down. In other words, have an immunological response to that food. Usually those panels will test 200, 400, 600 foods because it's very inexpensive to do a large quantity of foods. What I found is there's a lot of reasons your cells could be responsive to, say, being exposed to broccoli and having the cell degranulate. That has nothing to do with the inherent immune response that's actually happening in your body. So that's why I test for the IgG or the hidden food allergens through antibody testing. By antibodies, we're actually seeing what your body's responding to. In other words, what is your body treating as a pathogen, as a bacteria or a virus? Not just what is the reaction of some cell in your system say, but what is your body actually telling us by the fact that it's making antibodies to these foods, which means it's treating them like bacteria or viruses. What that does for me in practice is it really lets me focus on the foods that are the absolute priority. One of the things I say in practice is if I have to chop down a tree, rather use an axe than a sledgehammer. Even though they might be the same weight and take the same effort, because the axe is more focused and the energy is more focused, it's more effective. The same metaphor matches in practice. We have to focus on what's the absolute priority. If I'm telling a mom to get her 7-year-old off of food, I can't tell her 56 different foods she has to avoid. It has to be exactly which foods that 7-year-old is making antibodies to that is creating the symptom picture that the mom is trying to get rid of. That's really what I have to say about the other testing. There's a whole variety of testing, but in practice I've tried them all. This IgG hidden food allergy testing and the particular way we have it set up at the lab, where the plates are run in double panel fashion. In other words, every test that's run through has another test that's run simultaneously as a control. That's twice as expensive for us to do, but it allows me to say to someone that might have to change their life based on a food allergy that they absolutely have to give up this food. And I can say that with confidence, and I don't have to be concerned that I'm making someone do something that is not absolutely necessary. Also, with these other tests, they don't test the cooked and the raw version of the food. So let me break down those two other parts. If you imagine a raw food, like let's say egg, Those proteins are like crumpled pieces of paper. If you imagine taking a piece of paper and crumpling it in a ball. Okay. When you cook the food, it's like opening up that piece of paper. And if there was something written on there, now it would be you'd have much more exposure to that information. Well, that's the same thing that happens when you cook foods, is you open up a lot more of the proteins and you really expose more sites that can be the source of allergens. In other words, that can stimulate the immune system. So if you're not checking both the cooked and the raw version of the food, you're completely wasting your time getting tested. My belief is that's why our results and what we get back and the information we get back has such a profound impact on people's health. And I think that's why I really started seeking out the right testing years ago anyway, is that sure, by pulling out a bunch of foods from someone's diet, you can get shifts in the right direction. But which food? And why is that food helping? And what about eliminating that food is actually helping the person? And do they really have to give up that food to create health? That's what I wanted to know. And if I had to have a mom or a family, or let's say I have a highly allergic family come in where there's 3 children and they all have a variety of symptoms, maybe asthma and a case of Crohn's and bad eczema. I'm thinking of a family I saw this week. I really want to let those parents know these are the foods that are creating the problems with your child. And it's not these 56 other foods. So that's why, because we're testing the IgG, which is the hidden food allergens, and because these antibodies persist for anywhere from 2 to 20 days after being exposed, this, in my experience, is what's really driving the majority of the inflammation in the chronic cases that I see. And not only that, but no matter how good the treatment is, no matter how good the selection of vitamins or nutrients or herbs or other substances used to minimize, like enzymes or digestive flora designed to minimize the impact on the digestive tract, as long as the foods that the body has decided that it needs to create antibodies to are being eaten, the patient will not cure, and you'll never get complete resolution of symptoms. And maybe we can have a Q&A or some other forum where we can discuss each particular test, but really, this test is this is a baby for me. This is something I feel passionate about. This is something that has given me insight into the most difficult cases that I worked with and helped me cure those cases. So if you're someone that's going to Google for a different test and get a cheaper, less effective test, then maybe that's the right path for you. Maybe this isn't the right testing for you. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong. This is a test for people that really want to understand why they're sick, why their child is sick, how to prevent illness in the future. And they're willing to invest a little time and effort and money to get that information. This is information that I've invested over 17 years of my life, and really want people to get this test that are really committed to changing their health and changing their life. That will be the person that is happy with the information they get back. Because I'm going to tell you, if you have chronic symptoms, you're going to get a result in this test that's going to help you understand why you have them and to change your life going forward. That I'm sure of. And I really hope that you choose to take that chance to trust us, to get the information that you need, and to change your life going forward. I do this testing because in my years of experience with thousands of people, this is the one that gives me the clear, concise, accurate, and effective data to change health going forward. Gosh, I hope it makes sense to you, because sitting here and doing this as part of my living and my livelihood and my passion, it makes complete sense to me. You only want to test that's going to check the body's reaction to the food, not some reaction that takes place in a dish outside of the body. We want to see how is the body interpreting these foods. And that's what the IgG hidden food allergen test does for you. In addition, you have to check both the raw and cooked version of the foods. And if you don't do that, it's another way of wasting your time, effort, and money. And what we've put together is the most economical, effective, efficient way of getting that information. And I believe that this information is going to have a profound impact on you if you had symptoms. Listen, I was practicing naturopathic medicine for over a decade, and I was doing all the herbs, all the vitamins, all the nutrients, everything that I'd learned in naturopathic medical school, and everything I learned from years of practice with thousands of patients. And this information had a profound impact on my health. Imagine what it's going to do for someone who's really just starting from scratch, going from maybe you with symptomatic problems, and now you're going to jump from from being where you are to applying information that literally took me almost 20 years to put together in a way that we could effectively offer it to you. And again, I'm completely grateful to my partners in this, Desmond and John, who inspired me to produce this information for you out of their own sincere belief that this information can change their lives, simply based on the fact that it had such a profound impact on their own health and the health of their family and their loved ones. And I'm very glad that you're going to get a chance to meet Desmond through this course and through the information we provide, because just 2 minutes of listening to Desmond and you'll see that where he's coming from is a very heart-centered place that's about giving. And we hope that what we offer here makes a profound change in your life. How great if we're walking down the street one day and I get to meet you and you could say to me that finding out your hidden food allergens changed the course of your health or that of your loved one, your mom, your dad, your sister, brother, or one of your children. That's what makes my day. Thanks for listening.